Hello, this is Lisa Russick with the podcast We're All Psychic. And today we have a really cool guest from Denmark. Oh my gosh. And her name is Bettina. Bettina, would you like to say hello?
Yes, hello. And I'm so excited that you invited me here, and I can't wait for our talk today. I'm so glad. Thank you.
I am very excited that you're here. And of course, firstly, I have a question for you. Do you think we're all psychic?
I believe that depending on the word psychic, I believe we all have the seed in us. I think it depends on how much, like a muscle, how much we water it, how much we train it. But I also believe that we come to Earth with different tasks. And some of us are not meant to go all the way. You know what I mean? Some
Yeah.
of us
Okay, if
are meant to
everybody was a
be,
spiritualist, we'd have no community. We'd all be like,
yeah,
no
exactly.
food.
And I think it's important to be okay with everyone is not the same. Everyone does not have the same abilities,
Very
and
true.
some have them without even going to school or training in them. And that's how we should just not compare ourselves, but be okay with it and do the very best we can. So I believe we are all psychic, but I also believe we come here with a very different task here in human world.
I agree with you on that. I mean, I believe some of the most psychic people I've met have just been working a regular job, the most in tune with everybody else's everything, and not falling apart themselves.
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
They just live like they could just be like a CEO, or
Yeah.
or a person at the gym. You can just tell, can't you? Like some people will just have it, they're working with it. And when you, for me anyway, when I work with it, as I have been most of my life, I can tell when other people are into this stuff. If they're,
Yeah.
you can just sense it, right?
Yeah, you can. I think there's some people also, especially in the psychiatric world, a lot of those souls that are battling issues mentally also can have a lot of abilities,
I
and
agree.
that can kind of confuse. There's confusion even from the doctors giving medicine or not medicine, or
Yes.
you shouldn't say you're talking to other people loudly unless you know your doctor really well. And I think that's an area that I would like to help in some way, because it's a
Me
lot of people
too.
get falsely diagnosed with illnesses, and sometimes the psychic abilities have a lot to say in that area.
I
But it's a
can't agree more.
very hard area to speak about, but I'll just say that.
I agree with you. And I've talked about this on the podcast plenty of times, but I had a lot of diagnoses. I agreed with them. The medicine did work, but it separated delusional thinking and
Yeah,
hallucinations from the
yeah,
psychic. And up
yeah.
until then, I couldn't separate them until I
Right.
took a medication that did that for me. And I was like, wow,
Yeah,
I was like, whoa, it was mind blowing. I am psychic and I can separate these. That was just
yeah. That's really good.
yeah, and but the first time I told the doctor in Nashville when I moved here that that I was a psychic. I don't take antipsychotics anymore. I take a mood stabilizer
Yeah.
and ADD medication. And I did tell him I was psychic and he was interested in it. He was a resident and he was very interested, but the doctor above him was not and wanted to put me in a drug rehab for medication they I am prescribed. So I was
Oh,
just like, wow, so the
yeah.
medical system that this guy was a lot older. I would say he's probably, maybe even older than my parents. And they're in their 70s. So I would say, he has different, from his point of view, I guess
Yeah.
psychic, she's crazy. Maybe that's just what he was taught, and she must be on drugs.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because when they came to us, thank God it was a teledoc on the
Mhm.
phone, because I think if I had been there, they would have just taken me. I was told that by other people. I don't know if that's true, but
Yeah.
they would have just
Yeah.
put me in there, but it was on the
Oh
phone. They
no.
said that when that man said that to me, I just said, "Are you really going there?" And he's like, "Yes," and I just hung up. I said, "I'm going to hang up if you're really going there," and he said, "I am," and I hung up.
Oh
You know,
wow.
yeah. So, I mean, a lot of psychiatrists could really benefit. And I think the younger generations of psychiatrists will look at this
Yeah.
part because they're learning
Yes.
about the younger people are learning about the spirituality from us, their parents, or the older generations, Generation X. is my generation. But and a lot of people in my generation are interested in spirituality, and a lot of them
Mhm.
aren't. But then the younger generation that I'm seeing come up, they're all interested in it. They're all compassionate, trying to be. Maybe not every
Yeah.
single person, but they're trying. It's out there for them. It's accessible. When I was growing up, this wasn't here. How about you? Was it like this
No,
in Denmark?
no, not at all. I mean, this is even in 99, which is many years ago when I started this journey. This was not something you talked about, at least not with the people I knew.
Yes.
It seems like the world is much more ripe for this type of spirituality. And also natural medicines, and all of those things are much more okay now, where before you would people could look very strange at you for talking about it like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You really could. So when did you like have you I'm assuming you work with psychic energy of some sort. Um what kind of work do you do in the energy working field? What do you do with it?
Yeah. See, I started in 99 actually because my mom passed away. And all of a sudden I said, I'm going to go pick up her soul. And I had no clue what I was talking about. So I started the journey with going to courses. And then I took some clairvoyant, certified clairvoyance and healing and mediumship. But I think the interesting part is you can't force it. You can't make
You can't
yourself
force
better
it.
quickly. You can't force it. You need, I think that's kind of cool because in a lot of other areas you can, maybe if you do more, you work harder. I mean, you have to train, and have you have to be humble. But this is a field where the guides are deciding where
Yes.
you're going. So
Yes.
you can't decide. You can ask, and you can talk about 50 affirmation morning, noon, and night. But if you're not ready, sweetie, this is not where you're going.
It'll blow
So
your head up.
yeah,
It could.
yeah, it definitely
It'd
will.
fry your
So and
brain up, just like confusion, all that hit stuff hitting you at once would be crazy. I mean, I couldn't have done it if it hit
no,
me like that.
but now it's interesting because that the spirituality is one of my passions, and also herbalism. And so I am collecting herbs. I'm making powders. I'm making tinctures, and make my own sea salt, and I'm all excited about it. And the even more exciting part now is that I'm combining the spirituality with the herbal energies, and that's really cool. And the reason I look like this is because it's kind of new, and that's amazing how you can uh, tune in on a herb or a crystal, and actually you can connect with it, and it's past, and let's say just like talk to it like a human almost.
Yes,
I'm
I
not
know what you
talking out
mean.
loud. Of course it's an energy
It's an
exchange.
energy exchange. There is there. You can feel
and
the energy of the herb just running it through your
And
fingers.
that's
Right?
really what cool, because before I was collecting the herbal things and I was making the things, and all of a sudden I'm getting a personality from a stinging nettle, and I'm going, ooh, okay. So I won't offend you this time. Of course, I'm not sharing this with everyone, but I'm sharing it here.
Of
But
course,
and a
this is the
dandelion
place to
is,
do it.
yeah, and a dandelion is very different in personality, and I never thought that that was possible until I tried.
What did
And
I just have a real interruption here? What
yeah,
did you ever talk to a daisy?
no, not yet.
Will you talk to a daisy and tell me what it says sometime?
I
Because
will
I would,
definitely.
because since you have that ability, I would love to know. Because it's my favorite flower, but I have a lot of vivid dreams about daisies, and I'd
Yeah,
love
have
to
you?
know its message. So, and I've never
Yeah,
heard anything that really rings for me.
but why don't you? Definitely, I'll do that. But why don't you try yourself?
I will try myself. That's a good idea. I
Yeah,
have to go get some daisies after this podcast. I will do.
yeah, and actually, you after training, you don't need to go to the days. You just like a clairvoyance over the internet,
Yeah,
online clairvoyance. It's the same. You can actually connect from right
yeah.
where you are. It's a little more intense if you're close to the herb or the crystal. Interesting. I want to tell you a story about I had I've never had migraines, and all of a sudden, a few years ago, I started having them. And in a period of 2, 3 years, I had maybe 7 migraines, which was not a lot, but more than what I wanted.
That's more than you need.
Yeah, and
Seven more than you need.
yeah, I realized there's something I need to change in my life.
Yeah.
But the interesting part was I just a few weeks earlier had gone out to buy a lot of crystals, big crystals. Um, and I had them at my table, and I was in Copenhagen, which is about 30 kilometers from here. And this migraine started in Copenhagen, and I do not have a car, so I was in the train, and I was sitting with my hoodie on. I was like, "Oh my God, this is
Oh, that
terrible."
must have been miserable.
Oh, and I looked like a total druggie sitting with,
Oh.
and I thought, yeah. And I was thinking to myself, I have to think about something positive. What can help me? And I thought, oh, I just got my crystals, and I'm sitting with my eyes closed. And then I started focusing on the one crystal, which was a quartz, big quartz. And nothing really happened to my migraine. Now here it comes. And then I focused on what is it called? Agate geode. I can show it to you. Anyway.
Okay.
And it helped
Amethyst
my mind.
geode? Like an amethyst? Purple?
No, not an amethyst. I can get it for you if you want. Anyway, I focused on that particular crystal, and it just went like a cool blanket over my head. And I
Yes.
thought, Bettina, this is you going nuts. Let's just go back to the quartz to see what happens then.
Yeah.
And the blanket was taken off. Then I went back to the same geode again. Same thing happened. And I know I sound surprised. I know that crystals have energy, but actually to experience it like that was pretty
It's
amazing
every
to me.
time I do, I'm shocked. I mean, crystals are a huge vibrational part of my life. I have them all over the place. I'm a jeweler mainly because I love rocks and
Yeah.
I love little rocks. And so I started collecting them, and I was like, I'm spending too much money on these little gems. I got to start doing something with them. So I did,
Yeah.
I made start making jewelry, but I've always felt the vibrations of rocks. I didn't know what that was as a kid. I just loved these rocks, and they felt like something to me, and they made me feel ways. And I didn't know
Yeah.
that wasn't normal, or I didn't know that people didn't do that with their rocks. I thought that's what they were for. So I was
Yeah.
always just like playing with my rocks and holding them and seeing how they made me feel. And they have little wars and bang against each other. And,
Oh,
they're
that's
like
cute.
characters, they're,
Yeah.
and then, I had those rocks for a long time, but then someone stole them. A yoga
Oh,
instructor stole them, but I have plenty more now to make up for it.
oh,
But
oh,
it's really true. And like what you're saying about the plants, the only time I've really had I have plants around my apartment now, and it really helps everything. And I've never had a green thumb, so it's been very hard for me to keep plants alive, but I've been really trying to for the last few years since my divorce to keep plants alive. And now I have lots of plants, and I do clippings and all this stuff, and um
oh, that's
but
cool.
yeah, but I did hug a tree, and I've talked about that on the podcast. I hugged a tree one time, a palm tree. In the first time I felt anything from a plant was hugging a palm tree in Phoenix, and I felt that like like a tree can just make you feel energized like nothing else. And it was just like this bolt of energy just shot through me when I hugged the tree, and
Yeah.
I felt like it was connected, and it was so vibrant and so vital. It has so much vitality, and anything in the desert having vitality is shocking, but, but it felt it, and it was just really great. But
Yeah.
listeners and watchers, this is a video podcast on Spotify and YouTube. But Bettina and I were talking before the podcast about a couple of interesting topics. But I would love to talk to you a little bit more about, right when we were talking about, not the second thing we talked about. What was the first? The first thing we talked about was.
I have my healing story, the cancer story, the wild child story, the
Tell me a wild child story.
survivor program story. I joined that a few times.
Well, I have a problem. I get just like I start talking and then I forget what I'm saying.
Oh,
That's
that's
what's
all right.
happened.
That's all
I
right.
did have a point, but I forgot what I was saying. It does happen a lot, though.
Yeah, but that's okay. It's cool you're calling it out because then then we know
Well,
where we're at.
and I think about cutting it out when I do that, but then it doesn't make sense where the conversation goes. And
No, no, no.
I'm not
It's all
perfect.
good.
I make mistakes. You know.
I can tell you that 2 years before, I've had cancer in 2001, and I had conventional medicine, and then
Yes,
I
that's
had cancer again in 2012. And some people say I was really brave, but I was just scared of dying because I declined medicine and jumped in the ocean, kind of like Peter Pan. I was like, I know what I'm not doing. I'm
yeah.
not staying on the boat. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm jumping. So I jumped, and I actually was lucky to ride to the shore on dolphins. Dolphins, meaning I made it without the medicine. And and what I was trying to get at was that 2 years before I received this diagnose, I saw something in my left right groin in a meditation,
Oh,
like a black something, and I had no clue what it was. And I was
wow.
like, "Whoa, what's that?" And we were talking. Everyone wanted to share their experience with the meditation, and I was sharing this, and then I saw a heart, and it's funny because afterwards, the cancer was right there where I saw that black thing,
Wow.
and also the heart I saw. To me, this is me doing a reflection on it. Was the way for healing.
To love it.
So I saw my diagnose and I saw the way for healing. That's how I interpret it.
I love that
So,
interpretation.
yeah, and what I'm trying to get at is that sometimes we don't need to know what to know what not to do.
Oh, yeah, good point. Yeah, we
Because
knew. We need that.
sometimes we're like, oh, I can't leave this job, or we can't sell this, whatever it is. But if it's really important enough, just I'm not going to tell everyone else. This is a disclaimer. Whatever you do, it's up to your responsibility.
She's not
But to
telling you how to
me,
live your life, but this is a
yeah,
good way.
yeah. But sometimes you can remember that you don't need to know what to do to know what not to do. So
Yeah.
if something is really wrong for your body, your mind, your soul, or you don't know why, but you know it's not good, you should listen to that.
Yes, and you feel it. You feel it all through your chakra system. If you don't feel your chakras, you feel it in your like I feel it mainly like right through the core, through my guts, to the core, to
Mhm.
my heart, when something's not right, like through this area, solar plexus, sacral, heart. And
Yeah,
it just feels like these three chakras are saying back off, you know?
yeah, yeah,
Feels like this part of my body, the core part of my body is just like wanting to withdraw from that energy if I feel
yeah,
it. But then these people, some people can be manipulative if they're doing that
yeah,
and trick me into thinking that I was misled. I was thinking the wrong, they weren't threatening me, but my gut told me otherwise, and it's kind of
yeah,
hard when you have someone talking in your face that's
yeah,
telling you a straight up lie. And I mean, I'm like, I don't know, I think you're lying, but I can't say that to your face.
yeah,
I could, I
yeah.
could, but I'm not going to start a bunch of issues with someone who's lying. There's not, it's not going to be a good conversation. So,
No, and I think that one of the things I have this called Healing House 7. It's just 7 ways that I healed. You can
yeah,
heal 150 ways, but one of the parts I call Ground Zero, and that is no matter what you're going through, no matter what disease you have, no matter what obstacle challenges, you need to start at Ground Zero in my interpretation because not everyone, people who have a disease or something, oh, you have to do this and this and that, and then you have to jump and you have to run 10 miles, and then you have to get all your family members to bring you juice and do the. What if you don't have that?
I know. Yeah,
To
I don't
me,
have it.
ground zero is
Yeah.
grounded, stop, peace.
Yeah.
What do you have of resources? People say, oh, there's all these talks about you need socializing and you need loved ones. And some people don't have one person close to them. So instead of saying socializing is important, especially for elderly or lonely people or living out by themselves, connection can be something. You don't necessarily need to socialize with a human. Not that I'm anti-human socializing,
I'm
but
pro cat.
but you can connect with nature. You can connect with energies in a meditation. Not that it's a substitute, but it can do something.
It can. That's a
If you
really good
don't
point.
have these 50 family members who all pure and all give you everything you need, and and then we wake up from the dream.
Yeah.
So you can connect other ways, I
You're
think.
right. You're right. That's a
So
very
ground
good point.
zero is figure out what resources you have. Some
Yeah.
people say, "Oh, you need to exercise when you have a disease. You have to." Yeah, but what if you have no legs? I mean, movement is
Yeah,
okay.
I can't exercise with the condition I have. So that's like,
Exactly.
yeah. So, it's just like, because I would tear, I get I have connective tissue disorder, and it would like tear all the fascia it would tear all these little
Oh, yeah.
micro tears in my muscles and joint and tendons and stuff. So this is different for everybody, and that was something you had been talking about before the podcast too. Everybody's abilities, or maybe was that your answer? You were talking about everybody's abilities being different, like everybody's like healing abilities being different, and it'll be different
Yeah,
person and unique to you. Not It won't look like what someone else's looks like necessarily.
exactly. We all have,
Yeah.
and that I think is one of the biggies in terms of connecting with your soul. I can say that many years ago, I was aware there's something called the soul, but I was 99% human. This
Yes.
journey through the spirituality and where I am today after an awakening and oh my God, and encounters and whatnot,
Yeah, encounters. Yeah.
I can actually have a conversation and say, oh, that's just my human does not understand this. My soul knows, but
Oh, yeah.
what I'm getting at is I believe we all are coming here with a different task in life. Some
Yes.
people made a contract somewhere up there, or it's not up there, but it's easier to say up
It
there.
is easier to say that.
Yeah. So they made a contract. I just want easy peasy, free load, no problems. And that's what you'll get. And other people's will be this big politicians, and some people will be great spirituality,
Yeah.
wisdom people. And we're not all meant for the same. And we need
No.
a person to take out the trash. We need somebody to be in a restaurant. We need, you know what I mean?
Hey,
And
somebody make cat food.
yeah, but whatever makes, if you're aware what it feels like to be happy in the body and the heart, that's what we should listen to.
Yes. Oh my gosh, you are so
Because
right.
you you can't live. I mean, a lot of people, including myself, experience living in the mind. But once you started to connect with your body and your soul, just a little bit once in a while, you do more of that, and all of a sudden, taking a walk, go grocery shopping can be a really good experience. And
Yeah.
people think maybe I've been taking drugs or something, but
Oh,
it's just connecting with your inner soul.
it's choosing not
Um,
to live life and think everything sucks.
yeah,
To the grocery store being a thought, I don't want to do it. Maybe if I change my thinking about it, well, maybe I'll just go in there and make everybody's day by smiling at them.
yeah,
And then it'll be more fun. But if
yeah,
you're shy, that might not be fun. But so,
no. No. And I'm not like an angel, or it's not like I only have good days. I also have days that I think that suck.
Me
But
too. Yeah, it's still
yeah,
there.
the thing is, it's okay to have a day that's real terrible or emotions that are all over the place.
It is
The
okay.
thing is, you don't have to stay and take a bathtub in it. Don't stay in it. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yes.
Don't
Right.
don't 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 cast yourself with like when you get a broken arm. You experience the emotion, deal with it. Yes, that sucks, and then get on with it if you're able to.
Yes. If you're
Take
able.
yourself away from the crap. Flashlight on something else, because the
Yes.
dog you're feeding is the one that's going to grow.
Yes.
So,
Yes. I've never heard that the dog you're feeding. I know that like saying like that, but I've never heard that the dog you're feeding is the
you
one
keep
that'll.
feeding the one that all the negative things, and we can
Yeah.
all find many millions of them.
Yes, we can. Or we can find
But
millions of really great things, right? Because I
yeah,
can go to the grocery store and just be like, wow, that's the most beautiful apples. Those are the most beautiful apples I've ever seen. Or I can just
yeah,
pass them by and not think about them.
Yes.
but maybe they are really beautiful apples and I should look, But actually, listeners and watchers, I'm going to go to the grocery store and get some daisies. So, Bettina, I do want to ask, where can the listeners and watchers find out about you? Or do you have a website or
Yeah, I do have a website and I have a Facebook, and I'll send it to you on a link.
I'll
And
put that
you
in the
can,
description, listeners and
yeah,
watchers.
you can.
And then they'll come to Denmark and move in because Denmark's so wonderful. We all want to live
Yeah,
there.
you should
We
come and
all us
visit.
Americans want to live in Denmark. I'm telling you right now. I do. Anyway, this one does. She does say it's cold there, listeners and watchers, if you have not been there. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't like the cold too much.
it's warm right now, but not as warm as where you are, sweetie.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, exactly. But how many? What do you get? Like about 3 months of warmth?
Yeah, well, two, maybe two,
Maybe
two.
two. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Wow. I couldn't. I don't know if I could do that. But
yeah.
and at this time, I'd also like to thank my sponsor, Everclear. Everclear is an advice app and website where you can get advice from psychics and empaths, so you can get the clarity you need to create the life you deserve. And I am an advisor on Everclear under the name Lisa Russick. And you can get the app on the Google Play Store and the Apple Store under Everclear Advice App. And lastly, Bettina, I'm going to ask you for some advice. We covered a lot of topics, but before the podcast, we had talked a little bit about people feeling like they need to rush. People feeling like they need to speed up their progress, and maybe some other people being kind of high and mighty about their spirituality. You had mentioned that too. That can be kind of like, why are you doing that with your spirituality? So both those things we talked about before the podcast, listeners. I'm kind of wanting to know, like, how would you approach both these types? Like someone who is maybe wanting to be greater than thou in the spiritual sense because they're really insecure about it. That's usually why, right? The person who's like wanting to speed up so they can be better, like, how would you put to them that's not the point, of spirituality and pursuit of the self? It's about the self, really, I think. How would you like advise
Well,
someone?
I think it's okay to want to be better in the spirituality world, in the spiritual world. But I think what's important is, I think it's different each person. Some people want to be better because of ego. Some people want to be better because of money, and some people want to be better to be a really good student. And I think there's a difference between the things. If it's ego
Yes.
and if it's money, I don't think they're going to be doing so well in the long run, because the spirit will kind of turn the karma on them. That's my
Yeah,
belief.
I do too.
And I also think it's very important to be humble, because you can have all the abilities, you can have 10 out of 10, but if your ground zero is not in balance, if you don't have humility enough to understand clairvoyance is different than mediumship, you can't do a mediumship and talk about everything the guides are talking about, the clairvoyance, because that's not what the person came for. So
Yeah.
to be really humble in what is it that you're asking me to do here today. And I don't even know if I answered your question, but I think it
You
depends on.
did.
Oh, I did. Okay.
I got an answer out of it. I feel like
Okay.
you're saying, well, to me, I took that as like, look at yourself and why you're doing this. It's kind of
Yes.
the advice you're saying to that person,
And yeah, and I don't think you will get where you're supposed to go.
I think you're right. Yeah. If for me, the spiritual path is private and personal. And I love to explore this on a public platform like a podcast with people like you. Because, like you said before the podcast, we don't get to talk about this stuff with the
No,
random public.
no,
And it's
that's
great
true.
to have you here and to be able to talk about this. Thank you for coming on the show and doing that.
Oh, you're welcome. It's been a pleasure. And I'm
And
so glad that we finally connected, and hope to see you soon.
we'll do another anytime you want, but we'll do it a little earlier for you so you don't have to stay up till
That's okay.
bedtime. And listeners and watchers, we do you love the listeners and watchers, Bettina?
Yes, I do.
She
I
does. She
love
loves you, and I love you too.
Yes, and I'm sending you all love, soul happiness, and a great life.
I love it. I send you that too. And listeners, we love you and peace out. Bye.